costs you to fully accept yourself. It requires bravery. Sometimes you have to break ties with the people closest to you when they're not willing to accept. But doing that frees you up to be a more effective storyteller. Even if a teacher says anything you don't like, speak up. Tell them your opinion.
So you're giving advice in your book. Is there an advice that you can give to your 15-year-old self when they first started feeling a bit different? Welcome to the Creators Chat. My name is Kashif Harrison, and I sit down with some bold creatives who've turned their passion into a profession. I talk to them about their struggles, their hustle, and how did they actually make it. So if you are one of those who wants to do something that you definitely love, but is struggling with self-confidence or self-doubt, well, this show is just for you. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to my channel. For now, let's begin the Creators Chat. Today on the show, I've got someone who I genuinely know for the past 2 years. We started dating. Then we started living together. It's been a journey. It's been a whirlwind, but I finally get to do this professionally with him. So I'm kind of excited about it. Daniel Nour is a 34-year-old Egyptian-Australian journalist. He just launched his debut memoir book, which is called How to Dodge Flying Sandals and Other Advices for Life, which is available for purchase everywhere. So welcome to the Creators Chat, Daniel Nour.
Thanks for having me. Hi.
Okay, this is not, just letting you know, this is going to be very professional.
Oh, sure.
I'm so professional right now, Daniel.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can see you really, you've crossed your legs in a
I've
professional
crossed
way.
my legs wearing black head to toe. What
Yeah.
else do you need?
No, that's actually, I've always said black. That's the color of professionalism. And I've always said that.
You're on a high at the moment, and I say this with such pride just because you've launched your book. It's been out there. You just had a launch at
Better Read Than Dead in Newtown.
Nigella Lawson posted, hello, Nigella Lawson posted about your book on her grid. It's sitting there. So go ahead, go to her Instagram account. You'll find the book. And also, you've done Sydney's Writers' Festival. So it's been a big launch season.
Yeah, it has. It's been a whirlwind.
How are you feeling at this time?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Kashif Harrison, my same-sex domestic partner. Honestly, I just feel a little bit stunned. And I think anyone who has seen a dream come to fruition, because you're working on it, it's not as though you can kind of lean back and say, oh, wow, that's really nice. You don't have time. You're on the grind, as it were. And after Sydney Writers' Festival, which I think was the beginning of June, we had several other small events, smaller, because Sydney Writers' Festival went off and it was this huge room of 800 to 1,000 queer people for Queer Stories, the so-named festival event, and also a panel with Sweatshop Literacy Movement and Michael Muhammad Ahmed and Michaela Sahar. And then it was, Qtopia, which is the queer museum in Darlinghurst. I did a panel there. I believe there might have been community events, library events. It all happened in quick succession, so that to get me to the point that I am now, which was just 2 weeks ago, in fact, that was really 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago that we did the Better Read Than Dead launch event. It's a famous bookshop here in Sydney's inner west. I was kind of a little bit kind of on autopilot, as it were. And it's just now that we've been hit with the disgusting rhinovirus from hell, the worst colds that maybe we've ever had, that I had a moment to take stock a little bit, I think, and reflect and realize how incredible it is that something that I only ever dreamed of, kind of writing journal articles in my little, cubby house in my bedroom as a 12-year-old, has now happened for me,
Daniel, and I'm pretty sure that over the past 2 years of dating and being together, I may have asked these questions before, I may not have asked these questions before, but I'm genuinely curious to find out more about your creative process through this show.
Sure.
Okay. Let's talk about the first time you turned your passion into a paycheck. Do you remember that? When was that?
I might have been paid by a community newspaper when I was maybe 20, 21. I'm not going to name it,
Okay.
and it will remain nameless, and don't ask me to on this channel. Only because, honestly, the editor was a little bit shonky and I don't think he deserves the coverage. Because, in fact, once after my $70, bank transfer came in for a story about, like local politician announces migrant visas for Arab Australians or something like this, he said, is my story on your blog? If you want to get paid, you must take it off your blog. Whereupon I did remove it from my blog and I never got paid. So that was my last time. So community newspapers are famously, and I hope they've across the board tightened things up, with internships, because there is a conversation, I think, in the country about the governance of internships in journalism and how it really can be just unpaid work for these big employers and sometimes smaller community newspapers for months, and how unethical that is. Be that as it may, when I had that $70, I was very proud of myself. And I said, this kind of does pay. It's not enough to live on. $70 is about the price of a McValue meal. And if you get a McFlurry, forget about it. But it was so inspiring in a little way to say I did something that was significant enough to get paid. That was incredible.
Now, and that's so true, because when you do something and it doesn't sit in that criteria where you're like, oh my God, I thought this would be something phenomenal, but it's not. It's like a reality check, a reality hit. So my question is, was there a time you felt like giving up? And what kept you going?
Of course, there was several times that I gave up and then had to pivot, take a break away. I think that might be a more kind of humane way to look at it, a compassionate way to look at it than failure, which is a dangerous idea because it's so discouraging and it makes one feel that there's no point in trying. So I try to stay away from that kind of language. What I think is that there were several attempts to break into mainstream journalism. There were months at the SBS cumulatively. There were months at the Inner West Courier, which is owned by, I think, News Corp, Sky News, the Daily Mail, much to my shame, but it is what it is. A really reputable tabloid newspaper. Then, and I would kind of sustain myself with tutoring gigs, high school English. I would teach, HSC students about Shakespeare or, what have you. And I managed to do that for a while. The thing that I think sustained me and made me think I can do this, I can be paid for this long term, is when I changed my idea about what a journalistic career would look like. Right now I edit a magazine for the state government, and that is fun and thrilling and rewarding, but it's not the kind of journalism I thought I would get into. But what that's afforded me, that pivot, is to invest in my own creative pursuits after hours. And I have done that consistently. And you read off some of my, credits, and I was recently published in The Age, which was so thrilling. An excerpt from my book was published. Hopefully there may be something in The Guardian coming up. Hopefully there might be an ABC interview coming up, fingers crossed. The point is I was able to do all of that and have the gratifying success of a world of a life in arts and letters without having to work as a journalist in the way I expected. Sometimes I think you need to change your expectations in order to fulfill your dream. And that's what I would say. I never gave up entirely. There were times where I would take a break and I thought, this is such a discouraging environment, But I did have that fire in my belly to keep going. And I think that's important.
Now, and this is a famous quote, which I was, when I was doing the show or preparing for the show somewhat, I was going through some quotes. And there's very famous quotes that all Hollywood actors say in interviews. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. and I think it's by Oscar Wilde.
Another gay.
Ooh, well, so my question is that what part of your queerness empowered you in your creative journey?
Yeah. It can be the engine room of your creative pursuit.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of your identity tangled up in your sexuality. They're inseparable. I think the worst thing is when you see stymied creatives who are kind of paralyzed by parts of themselves that they are not exploring. It comes out, or rather, I should say, it doesn't come out, and that is bad for their work. You can tell when someone's holding something back. You can tell when someone's a phony. They may not even realize that there's something inauthentic. They may not be able to cross the bridge of full self-acceptance. It's a hard thing to do. It costs you to fully accept yourself. It requires bravery. Sometimes you have to break ties with the people closest to you when they're not willing to accept. But doing that frees you up to be a more effective storyteller, I think. It's not everything. Your sexuality is not all there is about you. And I think one of the most frustrating things is when critics of kind of the gay rights movement say, they would just relax about the gay stuff. Gay this and gay that. The point is, we as queer people want to be able to say other things about ourselves. Or should I say, to say our stories in a more holistic way. You cannot do that unless you accept this rudimentary, basic part of your identity. Sexuality in its own right is just like the color of the sky, your shoe size. It is just a factual, banal element of your life, but you have to accept it. So for me, my queerness allowed me to be more bold in my ability to tell a full story. And in my memoir, there are chapters about coming out that show, I hope, my skill as a storyteller, because culture is wrapped up in there, the shame of community expectations. Oh, he's not with a woman. Oh, he's with a man. Oh, it's so shameful. For you to be a good storyteller, you need to be able to come to terms with yourself fully. And you may not even need to talk about those parts of your identity, but you need to accept them. So I think self-acceptance is essential for creatives. That's what I think.
So you're giving advice in your book, right? Which is How to Dodge Flying Sandals and Other Advice for Life. Is there an advice that you can give to your 15-year-old self when they first started feeling a bit different?
I knew when I was like 11, 12. I was much younger than that. And I always knew that I knew, but I think even then the ramifications of this big thing were so scary that I kept it wrapped up. I was in the closet until 5 minutes ago, really, in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like I came out when I was 29. I told my parents when I was 18, but then they were, how can you be? What do you mean gay? And so then I went back in like a little turtle for about 20, well, not quite 20 years, but a long time. It will be okay is what I would tell my 15-year-old self, and you'll get there. Stick to your talents, stick to your passion, invest in your career, but know that, and especially as a very religious kid growing up, I'm still a person of faith, you have to be your own savior at the end of the day. And for Christians, we have this idea that if you do the right thing, in this very kind of simple, slightly naive idea of God, you do the right thing, God will reward you for it, even if it costs you. Now, I don't believe in that. I think the more I grow up, the more mature I become, the more I realize God does not want you to suffer. If you believe in this divine kind of loving deity, why would they want you to suffer? Why would they want you to live in shame or fear? And as much as you say, oh no, I accept that this is, some Christians say, I'm gay, but I don't act on it. Like that's a big shame, I think. So for me, I know some people may have a different journey, but for me, I feel it's important to say we don't want to live with shame I don't think that's healthy. I think you can live with responsibility for the things that you've done wrong and try to correct them, but shame not so much. And that's something that I think I wish I could have said to that young man, or that maybe someone in the community would have said to him. Unfortunately, he never heard that,
See, in the creative journey, I'm pretty sure there would have been a lot of ups and downs, which happens. For some, it happens while they're on the journey and they're totally focused, like yourself. And for some who are a bit unsure that if they can even survive that journey, but they still want to go on that journey. And I'm talking about those who are self-procrastinators. Failure is a big thing, and it really scares you in the time of today, right? That, if you fail at something, it's a no-no because you don't have time. Also, you don't have funds. Also, you don't have enough opportunities, I guess. So was there a failure that may have turned into a blessing for you?
I wrote a screenplay in 2016 of my book. Well, it wasn't my book then. It was something else.
Yeah.
And I wrote it with AFTAR's support. And a friend of mine helped me put it together, Marty Smiley, who's a fantastic journalist. But then when it got off the ground and I got the scholarship for a week to, creatively produce it, it didn't go anywhere. And I loved the trailer video we put together, and I thought the idea was so funny. It was like this Arab guy who was kind of, like bumbling Arab guy, goofy Arab guy. Just didn't go anywhere. And you know what? In hindsight, even though I spent a lot of time and effort, it was for the best because I wasn't ready to tell a proper story then. I was still in the closet. Now it came back in the form of a book. And the beginnings of that came like a flower, they bloomed. So that's, I think sometimes you have to fail a little bit in order to succeed later.
And you think that you accepting, like you said, that you were not completely out then when you were writing that screenplay. But now you completely, there's a new Daniel, who talks about it, who's very proud about his, weird, awkward moments with the family where he's in the closet, but he's gay and he's talking about his experiences. Do you think that accepting finally that you're queer yourself, truly 100%, changed it?
It made it a better body of work because it was more honest, it was funnier, and it was just realer and truer. I don't know. I think that screenplay, I even have friends who read it to me and said, something's not right here, really. And they could tell it's just not authentic. And the person doesn't fail. That's what they said to me. This person doesn't have any failings. It's like a perfect person. Isn't that funny? And that was, I guess, what I was trying to be at that time.
And that's interesting because these days, I was just going through some YouTube videos before coming up with this show. And there were a lot of videos talking about how the Neil Mohan, the CEO of YouTube now, actually tells people there's no thing called hacking the algorithm or something like that. It's just you being yourself in front of the camera. That's what is going to sell and get you more followers or subscribers or whatnot. And it's interesting because you're right. When you're yourself, you're not showing just your wins, you're also showing your losses.
Yeah.
And that's what attracts people.
Yeah.
To see that, he's 100%. He's not making it up. It's not scripted,
Yeah, absolutely. People can tell straight away. People can spot a phony. And people can also tell when you're trying to sell them something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which you're not, but we are.
I would like people to buy the book. I would like people
That is exactly what we're doing. We're asking them to buy the book.
But no, that's also because I genuinely hope that it will make them laugh.
And I think the version of your book now may have been a better, or is a better screenplay for a TV show.
Let's break the fourth wall.
What's the most misunderstood thing about you that people think, you reckon?
That I'm the Dr. Daniel Nour who won the Young Australian of the Year thing like a year ago.
Can I just say,
Two.
That's something we need to work on. The way because he has the same name, the same last name, the same first name.
What I say about him is he has half my body mass index and twice my popularity.
Well, and he is giving daddy.
Okay, well, That's not great. Romanticism.
So Daniel, we need to work on that.
Daniel Nour, if you'd like to,
Take down your name. Do that.
or maybe we could swap, like, for a while I could do surgeries and you could write.
Wow.
No, honest, can I, do you want, I'm going to answer that honestly. I think people think that writing is kind of this breezy thing. Can I tell you something that annoys me? When older Australians, often Anglo-Australians, yes, you heard me, say, oh, I wonder what it's your book about multicultural. Oh, it's exotic. Oh, you're Egyptian. And they put you in this category of either emerging young writer who had a bit of fame and he was lucky, or exotic multicultural story that belongs in like the travel section of the bookshop. And I am neither of those things. I am an award-winning journalist. I've worked at this for a long time now. My writing is critically good. There's craftsmanship and effort. And also, and you shouldn't have to say this, but I think you have to, unfortunately, in a society where sometimes the odds are against you, I also have talent. Not everyone has talent. Do you know what I mean? Some people want to cultivate it. Some people want to work on it. But talent is just like a gift as a writer that you sometimes say, I have to work on it. It's true. But that's not because I'm ethnic or because I got lucky. So when people read my book, and you might want to cut this out because it makes me sound like a douchebag, but it's true. I especially want to say to people who maybe are not in this world, it is right that I wrote a book. It is not just a coincidence or something that, you do in your spare time. It is work, it is labor, it is effort, and it is talent. Does that make sense? Do I sound cocky?
You do.
Yeah.
But I think that's the way this answer has to go out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to show people that, and I agree that people need to have talent.
Yeah.
But, I think we live in a world where exploration is a thing now, and it's you can explore anything.
Sure.
Whether you're talented or not.
Yeah.
Whether you have the gift of writing or the gift of hosting or the gift of makeup artisting or even anything.
Yeah.
It's all about exploring these days, and the lines have blurred a bit.
Yeah.
And that's why I think when you talk about, yourself being misunderstood, yeah, it's really hard these days because people can quickly not grasp the kind of work you have done over the years to get to this point.
And also, I don't like the proliferation of so-called influencers on social media. And you don't ever describe yourself as an influencer.
I don't. I'd go with a digital content creator.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you influencing? That's my question.
TV show, red carpets, but I think that's also a business plan.
Sure.
So, I really don't have any issues with that.
Sure.
Now,
send us your endorsements.
But do send us invites. We love it.
Yeah, sure. We'll go.
We'll go. We'll get some good stuff.
I'll go to Zara and maybe get a new jacket or something.
Daniel, what does success look like for you at this point of time in your life, on paper or in your heart?
I think Maya Angelou, I love her, the, incredible civil rights activist, poet. She was an amazing woman. She said that success is loving what you do and loving how you do it. Better too if you can be paid for it, which is not always possible. If you can have all of those things, I think you're in the right lane. And I think something that I constantly have to remind myself of in our fame-obsessed culture is that likes, subscriptions, whatever, is not the same as critical success, that it's possible to make beautiful and like effective art that maybe isn't that well received, say on social media. But that said, I hope very much, that it will be popular as well as praised. You know what I mean? I want it to be in people's homes, not just on, like the bookshelf of a library somewhere. I want it to be awarded, yes, but also I want it to be read. That for me is success. Yeah. And also one more thing, maybe if you feel, I also think you have to feel that you're adding value to the culture, helping people's lives somehow, improving their lives somehow. I think that's important.
I just want to bring on that note, I do want to bring one thing up. Sydney's Writers Festival, when you just completed the Queer Stories gig, or was it, I think, yeah, the Queer Stories. In the line, there was a reader who came for the signing, and he was like, I didn't know that being gay and Christian can get you a guy.
True.
And he was obsessed with us.
Yeah.
The fact that we are two queer men from different ethnicities, but also in active Christians, and respecting their religion. And so in a way, you're right. This book is affecting someone somewhere and giving them hope.
Yeah.
Right? Because they read your book, they read your mistakes, they read how awkwardly but proudly you're sharing them.
Awkwardly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Because there are some moments where it's very awkward, but it gets very fun. And then, you're proudly sharing it.
Yeah.
And they read it and then they're like Googling you and then go into your profile and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
And then it's that.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere giving someone hope that, I can celebrate my sexuality, my stories, my, stories of sorrow or stories of happiness.
Yeah.
And that's a very good feeling.
I think so. A good feeling for me, and I hope a freeing or a cathartic experience for the reader,
So in a way, you're becoming an icon.
Listen, that in addition to the earlier comment, I have talent, we should cut.
No, but this is connecting my next question.
Yeah.
Which is that growing up, Egyptian, queer, you must have had a queer icon, that you would get inspired by, or that they were with you throughout your journey and you could just sing their songs or read their books. So who was your icon growing up that you were inspired by?
That's a great question. For me, I always gravitated towards articulate women, strong women. There's an Egyptian writer and feminist I love, whose name is Nawal al-Saadawi. She's an incredible woman. First woman doctor in Egypt, and she was out there at like 75, 80, older, in Maidan al-Tahrir during the Arab Spring in Egypt during the January 25th revolution, fighting, like riding the back of a motorbike. I want to be like that, So invested in, I guess, injustice, which was her great passion as an activist for women, that it gives me this fuel, this energy to keep going. I love that. And then there's also, as I mentioned, Maya Angelou. I love her, and I read all of her autobiographies. That really made an impact on me because she was able to say very hard things in a very beautiful way, a very poetic way. That touched me. These are some of the influences, my queerish icons, women. I saw women as queer icons. I could say Tarzan or Aladdin, but that's more.
That's not.
Oh, I shouldn't say that.
That's more. We're getting into the thirst trap.
Oh, you don't want me to say?
Yeah, that's another show.
Okay,
that's more. Yeah, hot steamy stuff.
Okay, that's after hours. That's the creators chat. XXX.
Unfiltered.
Rated.
Support circle, I feel, is so important for a queer person. I think just in general, if you're queer, you need to have a great support circle around you, right? Because we need healing and we need a lot of it. And sometimes we don't even realize how much of healing we need. So what is that some healing words that someone has ever told you that you remember still?
I have the Bible and I have a lot of spirituality. I grew up Protestant, Christian. Every Sunday we go to church.
Yep.
And then also I had Orthodox and kind of Egyptian Catholic influences more through my extended family. I just feel that, and I know, it's a big thing to say, but I do feel like I'm a child of God. And I think that the knowledge of that makes me stand up straighter. That I am not a random organism or microbe in a sea, like I am made in the divine image. That makes you take a bit of responsibility for your life. It makes you proud. Also, my parents loved me a lot and still do. But my mother in particular and my father invested a lot in me. They gave me lots of books. They gave me lots of love. They gave me lots of food. They gave me lots of positive feedback, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know that there was one saying or one moment, but the knowledge that I was cherished and encouraged, and especially my dad would say, speak up, Bob. Like if a teacher, he said to me, even if a teacher says anything you don't like, speak up, tell them your opinion. And that really makes a difference when people value when your father values your opinion.
Wow.
And he would always be curious to know, well, what do you think? Not every parent does that. And I think that made a difference for me.
That is so beautiful. Growing up, and I think in the queer culture, we are obsessed with our bodies, you know, because we see a lot of them and get attracted and, you know, so on and so forth. Hence why the thirst traps are so popular.
Sure.
Thanks to the gays. So growing up, how has your body or your relationship with your body and self-image changed over the years? Especially as a creator or in the creative journey.
Yeah, of course. It's always been a struggle. And I think part of that is being queer because we physiologically as men in particular and as gay men in particular are attracted by what we see. And there's something about the male mind that I heard once that we are aroused by through the eyes, you know, and there's something about that makes it so pernicious and problematic because of course our whole experience now is this giant wall of mirrors, you know, through Instagram or this simulacrum of reality, TikTok, constantly putting yourself, your face and your body out. And somehow it's reflected back to you. I think that's very unhealthy, actually. But I don't know exactly a way out of it except to say that I try to like myself at every part of my journey. I try, and I'm not always very good at it. You know, I try to say, okay, yeah, I have a bit more of a tummy now. My thighs are a bit bigger. That's okay. This is a season, you know. I might become thinner. I might become more muscular. It doesn't matter exactly because I'm always in transition.
Yeah.
And I think that helps me a little bit not to get stuck or not to obsess. I think the important thing is that you like yourself. You like what you see in the mirror. And that's not always possible, I have to be honest. There are some mornings where you wake up and you think, oh man, this is a bit blah, you know. But then to know that it will come back around, that feeling of self-approval, you know, it will come back. And try always to look out, to be so fixated by what you're doing or the person you're talking to or the the thing that you're writing, the art that you're making, that your attention is beyond yourself, which also I think is why faith is important because it gives you some locus, you know, that is bigger than you. That's important, but it's not always easy and it's not always possible. Some days are harder than others.
Now, what keeps you grounded when everything is a bit too much? There's a lot going on, especially with your launch, your writing, this, that, the other. You have to be there on time. You've got a boyfriend who takes a lot of time to get ready. You have to lie to him to be on time. What keeps you more grounded when everything is a bit too much?
Well, you, babe, you keep me grounded. You and the home we've made together. When I know that I'm coming home to you and you know, I can ask myself, well, what does Kashif need? You know, what are we going to have for dinner? It means that, especially in a very kind of materialistic and ambitious culture, I have something to bring me back to reality. You know, it's not just about what I'm doing at work, or I have this person who needs me, and I have to take care of him, and I hope he'll take care of me. Our children, who are dogs.
Yes, they are.
So they're biologically, you know, canine.
I've got a white, you've got a black, grey.
Yeah, it's a lamb and a goat.
Interesting.
Which is the terrier, fluffy white terrier, lamb.
And a schnauzer.
The mini schnauzer climbing on things, goat. So farmyard vibes. But that also really is grounding because, again, they need you. They need to go for a walk. They need to be fed. They need to be played with. So all of your stuff about how am I going to respond to that email or what am I going to put on Instagram to push this thing that doesn't really matter right now because the dogs need to poop, you know? Very important, like very grounding.
And what sort of poop?
It depends. It depends. Have they got into the protein cookies? That's bad. Dangerous.
Very.
So that grounds me. Also my Switch, Nintendo Switch, anything that gets you into a state of flow, you know? And it doesn't always have to be like something complex, like I'm meditating. That's good too, if you can do that a little bit. Every morning I try, but not always successful. But just to be in a state of flow and to try to do that one thing at a time.
I think with changing times, I think it's very important, and I've got into this habit of asking people what their current idol is. Idol or someone who inspires them the most, who they follow. Who is that person? So I would ask you as well that, is there someone who currently inspires you?
I really like the writer Ocean Vuong, gay Vietnamese author coming out of the States, because he's an extremely good writer and he takes his work very seriously and he treats it as vocation, you know? He sees like the immense value of his work. It's not just, I went 9 to 5, tick the box, and it means that he's able to do it with great devotion. So I think he's an idol for me. Yeah.
And he matters to you because
he knows about the value of expressing our shared humanity. And that's not always something that I think about, because I try to write something funny and joyful.
Yep.
But he writes so seriously that it makes me think, okay, I can be more grounded and I can be more empathetic in the way that I portray characters.
Wow. So Daniel Nour, this was our first ever professional interview.
Hi.
So if people want to follow you, they can follow your journey through Instagram.
Hit me up on Instagram if you'd like to just check in, touch base, to use that language, circle back. But also my website, danielnour.com, if you have any professional inquiries.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Daniel Nour, for being one of our guests at the Creators Chat. This was another episode, and I hope that you find this very encouraging, motivational, and also with a bit of a humor, because that's Daniel Nour. If you like the show, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more interviews here at the Creators Chat. Yay!
Has now happened for me, you know?
Yes.
You're right there.
I'm totally fine.
The microphone just dropped hard.
It went like totally down.
The
I was
microphone
like,
just slept
hey, listen,
hard.
can I just like adjust? No, it went
Full
straight
flat.
down. Yeah. If you love this episode, make sure that you drop in a comment. What was your favorite moment of this episode? What was the takeaway that you took home and you are going to work on? Because your feedback matters to us most. Don't forget to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast from.